I want to start by thanking Queenslanders. We took a comprehensive plan to the election and they backed it in. And I want to let them know that we will get to work and we will deliver on those commitments. And it's certainly very humbling to see the support that we have received. We don't take it lightly and we intend to repay that faith in the way that we work and providing them with a government that does work for them. We took a comprehensive plan to the election. Queenslanders saw it and they backed it in. And they backed it in record numbers. And we remain focused on the issues that we campaigned on because they are the issues that Queenslanders told us about that they wanted action over a 4-year period. I want to start by just going through some of the things that we've been doing this morning and then unpack where to from here. Jared and I met earlier today. I've also started to make contact with our candidates who weren't successful, who put their hand up to serve. I want them to know how grateful we are for them in signing up to our values and for running for our political movement. It's something that anyone who puts their hand up to serve from any side of politics does so with courage. And I want to thank them for signing up to be part of our team, and I want them to know how grateful we are. To those candidates who are successful, we will be having a hookup with them this afternoon, and it's our intention to make sure that they go into their communities and say thank you ahead of being sworn in as members of Parliament. They've got a big job to do, and it's important that their communities know how grateful we are for their support and the hard work that lies ahead. To the Labor MPs who lost, and there are some very good people amongst them, and I want to wish them all the best. I want to thank them for their service, and I want their families to know that we are grateful for allowing them to serve. It's a tough road when that happens, and I just want to make sure that they know that we, as a state, are grateful for their contribution over whatever period they served in this Parliament. To our returning MPs, all of them who put their hand up to recontest, it's been a tough 4 years. Opposition is a place where it's a long road, and the work that they displayed, I'm eternally grateful for, but the real gratitude is for the discipline we displayed. I think even my harshest of critics would acknowledge that the discipline and unity of our team over a long period in opposition is something that stands us in good stead to be a good government. And I just want to thank all of those MPs for their efforts. I said we'd get to work, and that's exactly what we've been doing this morning. And I've had a series of meetings. Firstly, I had a phone call this morning with the current Director General of Premier and Cabinet, Mr. Mike Kaiser, and I just want to make an observation. He was incredibly gracious in that phone call, and he has prepared an incoming brief for us, and it's a brief that we will use to get to work. And I want to thank Mike. I want to thank Mike for the way that he's conducted himself this morning. We have informed Mike, and indeed informed Mr. David Mackey, that the Public Sector Commissioner, David Mackey, will be the Acting Director General of the Premier's Department. David's someone who's been in the public service for a long time, and that role is the appropriate role to ensure that that transition can occur. And we've spent the morning meeting Mr. Mackey going through that document, and it's important that we get cracking. And he's been at work early with us, and that's something that shows good diligence to delivering what needs to be done. Just to go through some steps from here, I'm mindful that the Premier will be addressing you shortly, and I thank him for doing that. Once the Premier has called on the Governor, if that is to occur today, it's my intention to visit Her Excellency and indicate that we can form a majority LNP government. And then tomorrow, Jared and I will be sworn into interim roles so that we can get cracking ahead of the swearing in of the Cabinet in due course. finally, the significance of what we have achieved is not lost on us. We asked Queenslanders for their support. They gave it in record numbers, and we are determined to give them the fresh start, which we promised we would deliver. Jared, thanks, mate.
Thank you, David, and good morning, everybody. Jared Blade, Deputy Leader of the Opposition. Well, we're absolutely humbled that Queenslanders have put their faith in the Liberal National Party to form the next majority government in Queensland. I want to thank Queenslanders for voting for a fresh start. I want to thank Queenslanders for voting to change the government. And I'm honoured to serve as Deputy Leader of our party, and I want to convey the thanks, as David has, to all our returning MPs. It's been a big 4 years. It's not easy in opposition, and we've been in opposition in Queensland for about 10 years now, particularly under David's leadership. David set the path to the victory that the Liberal National Party achieved on behalf of all Queenslanders last night. So I want to pay tribute to David and all our team, because without the efforts and the tenacity that he has had for the last 4 years, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in today. I want to thank Queenslanders for voting for change. I want to thank all our Liberal National Party volunteers everywhere across Queensland that was out in the gruelling sun yesterday fighting to change the government in Queensland. I didn't get a chance last night, but I want to thank my wife Sally for all the support she's given me over the years, and our 3 children, Taylor, Madison and Jasper, who were there last night as well, and to my staff at the Kiwana Electorate Office, Lolia, Michaela and Aidan. It's the electorate officers that burden a lot of the responsibility in our electorates when we're on the road, particularly during the campaign. This was a long campaign. Many of you will know that David and I hit the ground 2 weeks ahead of the official election campaign being called, so it was a 6-week campaign, and it was great to see last night that Queenslanders voted for an LNP majority government. As David has indicated, we hit the ground running this morning with the meetings with the Interim Director General of Department, Premier and Cabinet. We'll be going back into meetings this afternoon, meeting with the Director General and other senior officers in the Department of Premier and Cabinet. We have received the incoming government brief, and I want to thank the diligent public servants who have prepared those, and as David had indicated, Mike Kaiser, the outgoing Director General of DPC, for the work that the public service have put in for the new government. Not only have they prepared the incoming government brief, they've also prepared an incoming brief for the government, for the LNP governments, for the first 100 days. And the first document we received this morning was the implementation from the public servants with respect to our 100-day plan. And that's been our focus, and that's been the key drivers during this election campaign. We promised Queenslanders a fresh start. We promised Queenslanders that if they changed the government, we'd get down to business, and that's exactly what we've done this morning. Thank you.
David, during the election campaign, you repeatedly promised that you'd keep the same cabinet. Will you be keeping that promise that those shadow ministers will stay in there for time?
Well, I think you'll afford me the opportunity to speak directly to them, Tim. I think that's important that I do that. And we will be, as I said, Jared and I will, it's our intention, provided that I can visit Her Excellency today, following the Premier. Jared and I will swear ourselves into the current portfolio, and then we'll be speaking directly to those potential cabinet ministers.
So
Are you expanding the cabinet?
I'll speak directly to those cabinet ministers.
You said that they would be staying in the same portfolios.
Yep.
Is that happening?
Well, I want to speak directly to them.
Did you say interim ones before that you get sworn in?
Yeah, that's right. So using the current structure, so that we, Jared and I would have the capacity to be able to allow the government to function ahead of the swearing in of a cabinet, and I'll speak directly to those members.
Did you fall all night or get any sleep?
Oh, we had a little bit of sleep. I don't know, 2:30 to about 4:45.
Track it on your watch.
And you're back at the gym?
Yeah, but it was a very light session this morning, James. It was very light. Yes, Major. Yeah. Yeah. We'll be speaking directly to them, Major. It'd be inappropriate for me to, before speaking directly to them. We'll talk directly to those directors general, and that'll be done with, with the courtesy that deserves.
What does that mean? Do you mean if you're having conversations asking them to move on? What do you mean?
Be having conversations with them about what their involvement will be, and that should be directly with them.
We've seen some shredding trucks going into 1 William Street. What do you make of that?
I'll leave that to you.
David, in terms of
James.
speaking with the Prime Minister again,
I have.
what do you think the national audience should know?
Not only did I speak with the Prime Minister, he was good enough to afford me about 20 minutes this morning. It was a really, really good phone call. And, there are some things that I'll be going into bat for Queensland. I didn't miss the opportunity to raise 80-20 funding. And he was very, very cordial with his time. I want Queenslanders to know that I'm on their side, and I'm going into bat for Queensland, and whatever the colour of government is in Canberra, that's what they're going to get from us. We are determined to deliver for this state, and we have to work with the government of the day at whatever level and whatever colour. And I was very grateful for the Prime Minister's phone call. He was generous with his time, and I look forward to working with him, as I look forward to working with Opposition Leader Peter Dutton. I've a great relationship with Peter. Brendan. Yeah. Well, they're all listed, and they're broken into 4 components. But you are right, and we've already discussed that this morning. That was one of the things we outlined. It's no ifs, buts, or maybe. Making Queensland safer laws will be laws by Christmas, and that means there will be 2 sittings of Parliament to finish this year. I made a commitment to Queenslanders that there would be a committee process, even though we were taking that to the election. I just want to make sure that those laws had the opportunity to go through that process, but they will be laws by Christmas time.
Did you expect the phone call from Steve Martin coming earlier, or did you have any support from him?
No, that's a matter for him. I want to thank him for his time on the phone.
Just on my question about this meeting the cabinet has quite community response.
I will speak directly to those ministers, and then all of that will be detailed. All those. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
David?
Yes, James. Well, I'm going to speak directly to those ministers. I have not said that.
Is that because you want to give them, I guess, the
I want
opportunity to hear it first from you, or because you made the promise?
Yeah, but that's you've got to be courteous to people, and serving in an office like that is something that's significant, and I think that's a confirmation that should come from me directly. But we've got to get to work, which is why it's our intention to fill those interim roles before that cabinet can be appointed.
Dave, when the numbers started coming in last night, it was a bit sort of ordinary for both sides, and then as the night progressed, obviously the pre-polls and that came in, they favoured you. Does that mean that, 2 weeks ago people were very happy to have you as the new government, and then as the campaign went on, it waned a bit for you?
Well, people only get one chance to vote, and they voted in record numbers. Our vote exceeded our expectations, and the result is far beyond what we could have ever expected. It is a good majority, and considering where we started from, in historic terms, I said it was like climbing a mountain. Well, it was like climbing a mountain weighed down with a backpack and in the sleeting snow. It was a big hurdle to overcome, and those results. Those results exceeded anything we could have expected, and we understand the role that's ahead of us and the duty that rests on our shoulders.
Mr. Crisafulli,
Tim, and then you.
I was going to say, how are you feeling about David? Obviously, it's a very tight one there.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on individual seats because it'll be fluid. But there's a number on a knife's edge, and we obviously would like to see where that goes.
Yes, in your speech yesterday, you mentioned to the crowd that a Liberal national government or permutations of that haven't won a seat for quite a significant amount of time. Yeah. Were you sending a signal to the room about pragmatic government? Why did you mention that specifically?
Because if you believe in the values of your political movement, you believe in generational government. Because government allows you to shape the kind of state that you want for your kids, and it's not about getting your name on a wall. It's not about winning one term of government. That doesn't allow you to ensure that you achieve for the state what you want to achieve. And I reflected on the numbers. So 1986 was the last time that we won back-to-back elections. That is that's a generation and a half. And it's important that we are a good government and that we do what we say we are going to do, and we don't do what we said we wouldn't do. And I'm going to be reminding the Labor Party about that latter point. And I will be reminding them for 4 years on it, because Queenslanders deserve to know there is a difference between the way that I intend to conduct our government and what they have lived through in recent years. If we say we're going to do something and we make a commitment around a policy, we'll fulfil it, and Queenslanders will be able to trust us.
Last
Just
couple
on
of
the
months.
Olympics quickly,
Is it fair to say that's directed at the family or the debate around it?
There were many. There were many. I drove on my way back from one of my final polling booths late yesterday afternoon. From memory, I was coming back from Ipswich West, and there was a billboard indicating a sale of a hospital that we've promised to strengthen and look at putting more resources in. And yet a billboard could sit there, and I took a photo of that billboard, and as that satellite hospital, which will be properly named, delivers services for people where they live, I'm going to point to that billboard. And I think that's a fair and reasonable thing to do. Because just to finish for you, James, because there's robust debate and conflicts of ideas, and then there's just out and out blatant mistruths, and the latter can't become part of modern politics. We are not the US, and the difference between us and the US is because of compulsory voting, we have the great ability to speak to the majority rather than to the extremes, and it needs to be. We can't have elections done on fear and things that are being campaigned on where one side knows is blatantly untrue. You can't do that, and we will call out those inconsistencies, and we will do what we say we were going to do, and we won't do what the former government alleged we were going to do. And that's important.
Two more.
Sorry, Anne.
Policy areas you necessarily give clear answers on. Will you commit as Premier to being more direct with Queenslanders?
I have to push back on that. I have to push back on that, Lydia. I said the big four issues that would define our government, and we put forward solutions and targets for all of them, and Queenslanders backed it. And they backed it hard. I urge you to reflect on the magnitude of what has been achieved. It's beyond anything we could have expected, and it's a ringing endorsement of the plan we took forward. We don't take it lightly, and we won't let you down.
Last
on
one.
the
Last
Olympics,
one.
Andrew.
Queenslanders this morning didn't get raised accounts for that ability to get to 75% by 2025. Are you still committed to that target?
Well, we've always said that the target that matters is net zero by 2050. We've already reached the first emissions reductions target. Now, the midway point are important stepping stones, but the figure that really matters is net zero by 2050, and we've consistently said that.
If I may, Anastasia Gallagher yesterday on Sky, election panel, said that hosting the 2032 Olympics at QSAC would be a step backwards. She said that.
Anastasia said that?
Yes.
Right.
And she said it, you agree with her?
Yeah.
And she reckons that it would be great if you and Stephen Miles could get together and agree on a way forward. Do you think that's possible?
I might just allow the former Premier to be able to put her point of view across, and I'll put mine, and that is within 100 days Queenslanders will see a plan that they are proud of, and in doing so we can restore faith in that process. And I spent a considerable amount of time talking to the Prime Minister about that, and we intend to speak with directly to the Sports Minister, who is a Queenslander, and I reckon we can get a good outcome by doing that.
Thank you.
I don't know, maybe one glass of red. All right.
You said it was a massive mountain to climb. Where are you on that mountain right
Well, it depends. If you mean the electoral mountain, we've reached the top. If you mean doing what we need to do for Queenslanders, we've taken one very small step forward, and we've got 4 years of hard work ahead. Thanks very much.
Thank you.